Marco Rubio is a spineless coward who should resign. Point blank, period. He embarrassed our country today, along with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, but in a very different way. While J.D. and Donald Trump berated our ally and abandoned Ukraine, Marco sat there quietly, doing nothing. A man who not only just a couple of years ago, but a couple of months ago, called Putin what he is, a murderous dictator who must be stopped, is now silent. He is embarrassing. But then he changed his tune when he went on for an interview with Caitlin Collins to defend all the indefensible things Donald Trump did today, but he couldn't because he was caught in a bunch of lies, and we're going to get into them all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into this interview, of course, I want to start with one of the worst lies told today, and that was right here.
They should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A
entire
lot of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting, have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a
answer?
lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
So not only is it a lie that President Zelenskyy hasn't thanked Donald Trump, he has thanked Donald Trump, he has thanked Joe Biden, he has thanked Republican and Democratic members of the House and the Senate. He is consistently thanking the American people very specifically about that, saying that this is a conflict that we are all in together as allies in support of democracy. It is about people, not elected leaders. Been very clear about that. And JD says not enough? Ridiculous. So put the lie aside. The idea that the Vice President of the United States is demanding praise be heaped onto him and the president is just so embarrassing. JD is just such a joke. And that's why what Marco Rubio said right here is just so embarrassing.
Well, he was in the Oval Office to sign a minerals rights deal. That's what he was in the Oval Office to sign today. But again, when you have comments that deliberately appear to be I mean, after having discussed this repeatedly, deliberately appear to be geared towards making the argument that peace is not possible. You know, again, he turns to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Almost as if to say, these people, you can't deal with them. You can't have any negotiations with Putin because he can't be trusted, and you're just wasting your time on negotiations. Well, he's basically undermining everything the president has told him he's trying to do. Look, there's no need for that. You start to suspect, does he really want an end to this war? Does he just think that, you know, we have to do whatever he says and give him anything he wants without any end game? That was the Biden strategy. That was the...
You didn't like how he responded to J.D. Vance? J.D. Vance does not deserve any level of dignity and respect in the way that people talk to him. J.D. Vance should be talked down to. J.D. Vance is human scum. J.D. Vance is an embarrassment to our country. He lacks morals, spine, principle, any real intellectual thought about anything that matters. J.D. Vance is a joke. And this idea, again, of the thank yous is so ridiculous, especially when Caitlin Collins pointed out it is a lie.
Vice President Vance was criticizing Zelenskyy for not saying thank you specifically during that meeting, those 40 to 50 minutes that we were in the Oval Office. But certainly, you know very well, Secretary Rubio, your time as a senator here in Washington, that whenever Zelenskyy has come to Washington before, he has very much expressed that kind of gratitude. Just listen to this.
thank you for both financial packages you have already provided us.
Really, all my appreciations from my heart, from the hearts of Ukrainians, all Ukrainians. So what can I say to American people in English? My English is poor. To say all my messages and all my thanks to you. And thank you very much for supporting us, our people.
Thank you, United States. Thank you, America.
Ukraine is grateful to the United States for its overwhelming support.
Do you think you can make the argument that he hasn't said thank you?
Well, I think the vice president said he hadn't said it today. He hadn't heard it today in that meeting. And we were hoping that that meeting would begin by thank you for everything you've done for us. We wouldn't be where we are today without you. We wouldn't even have a chance to negotiate a peace without the help you gave us. By the way, without the help you gave us when you were president in the first term, because President Obama refused to provide them defensive capabilities in terms of...
Marco really has nothing to say for himself. You can just see how dead his eyes are. How tired he is. Oh, poor Marco. Oh, poor Marco. Have to defend the indefensible actions of the administration I signed up to join. Zero sympathy for you, buddy. Oh, the guy who called you little Marco Rubio, who made fun of you, mocked you constantly. Working for him was a bad idea. The guy that you said is too dangerous to have the nuclear codes. Working for him isn't a blast and a half. It's not a joy every day. What a shock. And I'm going to come back to it. Marco Rubio is as illegitimate a political figure as anyone else in the Trump administration. I hate this idea that because he was a senator, he's more respected. He sat there like a coward quietly. He deserves no respect. He's not going to get it from me, especially when he's saying nonsense like this.
And my source tonight is the Secretary of State who is in that room today, Marco Rubio. Thank you so much, Secretary Rubio, for being here. We just heard from President Zelenskyy. He said he does not think that he owes President Trump an apology for what happened inside the Oval Office today. Do you feel otherwise?
I do, because you guys don't see. You guys only saw the end. You saw what happened today. You don't see all the things that led up to this. So let me explain. The president's been very clear. He campaigned on this. He thinks this war should have never started. He believes, and I agree, that had he been president, it never would have happened. Now here we are. He's trying to bring an end to this conflict. We've explained very clearly what our plan is here, which is we want to get the Russians to a negotiating table. We want to explore whether peace is possible. They understand this. They also understand that this agreement that was supposed to be signed today was supposed to be an agreement that binds America economically to Ukraine, which to me, as I've explained, and I think the president alluded to today, is a security guarantee in its own way, because we're involved. It's now us. It's our interests. That was all explained. That was all understood. And nonetheless, for the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelenskyy has made. But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington. And there was and should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a such scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work. President Zelenskyy took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. It's unfortunate. That wasn't supposed to be this way, but that's the path he chose. And I think, frankly, sends his country backwards in regards to achieving peace, which is what President Trump wants at the end of the day, is for this war to end. He's been as consistent as anyone can be about what his objective is here.
What does Zelenskyy need to apologize for? Was it Zelenskyy who destroyed the United States standing in the world today? Or was that Donald Trump? I think it was Donald Trump. Yeah. I think he's the one who should probably apologize. And it is still hitting me, the consequences that will come out of this day. But someone who did a really great job breaking that all down was Chris Hayes right here.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Today, Donald Trump irreparably destroyed the 80-year-old post-World War II international order. His total abandonment of Ukraine in front of the cameras was on display for the entire world to see. It was a truly historic moment, not in the good way. One that I fear realigned the world order, upending The only foreign policy consensus that most living Americans and Europeans have ever known. Today's Oval Office meeting started to turn ugly when Trump apparently thought that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was not being deferential enough to Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I really count on your strong position to stop Putin, and you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him.
I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred.
It only got worse from there as Trump and his vice president lashed out against Zelenskyy in the Oval Office. We're going to play all 7 minutes of that exchange. It happened earlier today. A lot of people at work, and you've probably seen clips. But the context here is important. Everyone should see how the president and vice president of the United States conducted themselves on the world stage.
He broke this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it.
J.D. Vance accused Zelenskyy of being disrespectful. You heard the whole exchange. What do you think was being disrespectful? I don't think it's hyperbole to say we as a country have never quite seen anything like this particularly appalling spectacle before. Once the meeting concluded, President Zelenskyy was kicked out of the White House without even signing the rare earth mineral deal. That's the deal that Trump wanted him to sign. He's been trying to bully him into signing to give away resources. It's the deal that Trump kept calling a raw earth deal. Trump wanted him to strong-arm him into joining on the deal and signing the deal at the White House today. That was the cost of U.S. support. Give us your minerals. We take, and then maybe we'll see what we can do for you. A planned joint press conference between him and President Trump was abruptly canceled. In later remarks to reporters today, Trump let slip the real reason he kicked Zelenskyy out today.
He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, and all negative things. He's got to say, I want to make peace. I don't want to fight a war any longer.
He got upset because he was saying negative things about Donald Trump's buddy.
There is the old phrase that I hate living through unprecedented times. That's what today felt like. This is some history I wish I did not have to live through. And yet here we are. But that same very history will not be kind to Donald Trump. And so neither should we. We got to call him out every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.